Leonardo G. Myers for making a phone call that made me cry. Thank you, Leonardo Romero, for saying I can pay for the plane tickets to Charlotte for me and the Great Roxy. It made me cry even harder. Thank you to everyone who voted for me, even though they knew it would mean a fancy luncheon for this ink-stained hat. I love you guys. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for coming, Jay. It means a lot to me. Hall of Fame basketball writer Jay Donde's here for me. That's wonderful. Thank you. Those kind words. But back to Shirley. So you've always had my back, John. Once upon a time, you were an assistant sports editor, and I was a cover reporter. You literally had my back. It was my second week on the Dodger beat for the LA Times in 1989. Having already covered 2 major league teams, I thought I was hot stuff. The desk thought otherwise. They rewrote my first 8 leagues. I remember the number exactly. 8 consecutive leagues. 8 consecutive times I would pull open the newspaper, and 8 consecutive times my heart would sink into my chest. They changed nouns, verbs, adjectives, rewrote complete sentences, added complete paragraphs. One of my few friends was a desk clerk, and I would call him every night for an update on what the copyrights were saying, and it was ugly. This is bad, there's blood everywhere, he would say. The desk is tearing you limb from limb. You need to get a fire hose in here to clean this up. Granted, I wasn't great at writing routine. I had a lot of one-word leads and italic monologues and weird punctuation. I was basically writing long-form pieces or punching columns disguised as gamers, and the desk wasn't happy. So every night I got torched, night after night. Until one night, just before I called my desk clerk buddy, he called me. You're not gonna believe what just happened. I said, what, I got fired? He said, no. Sure, just walked out of his office on deadline and started shouting. I'm like, what, he's trashing me now too? And he said, no. Sure was holding up his hand and shouted, stop. Leave the kid alone. Let the kid find himself. Let him find his words. Stop. I cried when I say this. But that was the end of it. The desk never rewrote another lead without calling me first. I never wrote another long-form gamer. Well, that's a lie. But I never forgot the simple act of grace that Sherwood bestowed on me. He did the greatest thing a better editor could do for a young writer. He gave me room to grow up. He gave me the freedom to find myself. He gave me the right to be bad. And in doing so, he gave me the courage to be better. He gave me my career as always what he did. And I'm sure many of you editors have done the same for other young writers in here, in your care. And for that, even though you may not hear it as much as you should have, you'll never be forgotten. You guys are the most important people in our lives. Don't ever forget that. I'll never forget John. I'll never forget any of my other great editors. I'll list it real quick here. From Bob Chick to Robin Branch to Fred Turner to Lane Johnson to Dave Distel to Bill Dwyer to Rick Jaffe to Mike James to Randy Harvey to Mike Eisman to Angel Rodriguez to Chris Stone to Ileana Romero, and every single desk person along the way. Every single copy of it. The desk has saved my ass every single day for 44 years. Well, except once. The worst column I ever wrote. The worst video I ever did was a penis video. This is the worst column. Worst column I ever wrote was May 14, 2001. You can also Google it and look it up. The Lakers had just swept the Sacramento Kings in the playoffs. And I wrote a first-person column on the vantage point of a broom. I was a broom in the column. It was a Sunday. We had a skeleton desk crew. Didn't have time to get to it. My lead was, easy, Shaq, that's my neck you've got there. My second sentence was, careful, Corey, those bristles are real. I wrote a column like I was a broom. Sweeping away the Sacramento Kings. The column was so bad the next day in the Lakers locker room, even the players were making fun of me. Because that boy thinks it's a damn broom, said Shaq. I can be so bad. Many years later, I'm still taking big swings and producing giant misses. But if somehow I survived to be standing up here today, sharing this award for a man with whom I would never dream I could share a sentence. Red Smith and Bill Plaschke? Are you kidding me? I swear it's a freaking miracle. I'm a miracle. And that miracle was created through the same thing Sherwood so adamantly supported so long ago. It's the words. This is not a celebration today for me, with me. It's not a celebration of hot takes or video hits or conversion metrics. This is all about the words. I'm living proof. We're still in the business of words. This is a win for words. Even though someone may know me from my television debates with my wonderful second family on Around the Horn, my life has been words. That's who I am. That's all I do. For hacks like me, the wonder is in these words. You see something on the field or a court, you see someone in the background in the shadows, write what you saw. And almost instantly, if you're lucky, those words are making people laugh or cry or angry or sad. For a minute or two, they're feeling something. And it's all because of those words. And that's the miracle. For me, it was always the words. As a kid, I stuttered. I called making friends. I went from a tiny Catholic grade school to a giant public high school. I was lost. I was alone, I was afraid. I was scared and depressed. I would run home and sleep for 2 hours every night. Yet, for the first time, the word saved me. One day, my freshman year, I was at a basketball game, and I noticed everyone in the stands was chanting for the worst guy on the team. His name was Earl. We want Earl, we want Earl. I was stood with a chance 4 years later. I thought, this is fascinating. Why is everybody cheering for the last guy on the bench? What was that all about? How did that make him feel? I had to know, so I asked him and I wrote a story about it and turned it into a school newspaper. They ran the story. My hallways were suddenly lit up with people reading the paper and pointing at me and patting on the back. Even the revered jocks started talking to me, all because of the words. I joined the newspaper, made friends, and somehow endured high school, all because of the words. Once again, I found myself through the words. In college, I was struggling again. For my final 3 years, I attended, as John said, SIU Edwardsville, the commuter school outside St. Louis. We moved to Illinois, my parents didn't have any money. I lived in a church basement next to an overflow. My school had no arena, no football team, and they used the high school gym. I became sports editor of a school with very little sports. So I didn't write about games. I wrote about people. The school's competitive pool player doing his homework in smoky taverns. The school's long distance runner training in cow pastures. And today when people ask me why I write so many offbeat stories like this, it's because I was raised like this. I couldn't write stars. We didn't have stars. I couldn't write stats. I didn't do stats. I had to write humans. I had to survive with words. Being an unconventional writer from a school not known for sports, I had little chance in the national job market. And sure enough, my junior year, I applied for 50 internships. And 50, I got one response in Muskegon, Michigan. In my senior year, I applied for 50 more internships. I got 0 responses, 0. I was set to go to work at my dad's printing plant. As a writer, I was done. And one day in February, I was walking through the snow to an off-campus apartment with my 2 roommates. Suddenly appeared on a balcony in their boxer shorts. Smoke pouring out of the sliding glass door behind them. They were go-getters. And they were called, they saw me, they shouted, Bill, Bill, somebody called, somebody called. I said, who called? They're like, whoa. You're shitting me. So I ran inside and scoured the kitchen and came across a message scrawled on the back of a box of Cocoa Puffs. It read, St. Petersburg Times. They called. I called back right away. Somebody actually wanted me. Once again, the words won. Thus began a career that should never have had a chance. I had no connections, no references, no safety net, just words and the editors who helped me write it. And again, I thank all you guys for every editor. Thank you. Hopefully your staff thanks you. Without you, it's not us, it's not me. So these words have blessed me for each of my 44 years, from my days covering alligator wrestling for a bureau hand out in the Everglades, to covering the Seattle Mariners when they stunk, to covering the San Diego Padres when they stunk, to covering the Los Angeles Dodgers when they stunk. I was only given a column at the LA Times after I spent a week in East LA living with a resilient gang-infested football team. My most read column during the Lakers' great playoff runs in the early 2000s was a piece I did in my own time about the courage of a Compton High girls softball team that had gone winless in 3 seasons while being outscored by an average of 40 to nothing. Even the greatest of the Lakers understood the importance of words. I used to walk with Kobe Bryant to his car after games. It was just us two. He usually had no bodyguards, no business associates. He had no friends. It was just us, off the record. I never wrote about anything. But Kobe was fluent in 3 languages, so he valued words. And when he asked me about my work, it was never about a tweet or a hot take over video game. He always wanted to talk about what I had written, how I had written, why I had written. And one day when I asked him if he wanted to help me write his book, he looked at me incredulously and said, no way, you know me. Those are going to be my words. Words are so important here. And for me, it was always the words. And those words were rarely about stars. They were mostly about shadows. I urge all of you to urge your staff, to urge yourself, don't be blinded by the brightest of lights. The real magic can be found in those shadows, brought to light by your words. And In all this time in Los Angeles, I've not written one feature column on LeBron James. But I've written about the bugler at Santa Anita Racetrack who suddenly suffered from Bell's palsy and could no longer blow his own horn. For more than a quarter century, I've commented on amazing things at Dodger Stadium. But no story's got any enormous feedback like the one I wrote about a little field down the road from Dodger Stadium. I drove past it one day and started asking questions. There were holes in the outfield and cracks on the infield and a crooked pitching mound, no working bathroom, no water fountain, no scoreboard. I ran across a maintenance man and I said, this is awful for a big high school. This is a shame. And the maintenance man said, the real shame is, this is where Jackie Robinson played his high school baseball. Suffice to say, the field at John Muir High School in Pasadena has now since been totally rebuilt here by the Dodgers after I wrote my column. And a shining example of the power of those words. To my fellow journalists, I say, when all the shine is done, when all the hot takes have been fried, never forget what wonderfully, hopefully, beautifully will stay with you forever. It's the words. No matter where you come from, no matter if you're rich or poor, no matter your culture or your creed, you will always have the words. And with them, with these words, even a stuttering kid stumbling through life can feel like he's flying. And believe me, I feel like I'm flying today. I thank you for that. Sports are about humans attempting to superhuman achievements. Our words illuminate their humanity. Our words outlive their heroics. In this day and age of great hyperbole and loud debate, miracle, and everything, our words remain the miracle. Well, most of the time. I'll end this with the immortal words of a great Dodger coach who once cornered me after a stunning playoff loss. The clubhouse was in mourning. Guys were turning over trash cans. It was a nightmare. He said, Bill, you can sum up this sport in 2 words. You never know. Thank you.